Hey, Aaron.
Good morning, Rabbi.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. All right. Wow. Today is a Gavaldik DAF. Wake up, get into it. All right. With the help of Hashem, we are learning Shabbos DAF Kuf Lamed Daled. We are in the heart of the sugya of a bris milah. We're going to begin on DAF Kuf Lamed Gimel Lamed Beis, the piece of Gemara regarding Metzitza. And as we began learning yesterday, that really milah is comprised of the act of the cutting of the foreskin, which is called milah. Then we have the priya, which is tearing or pulling back, or both, the thin membrane. And then the third step of the bris milah is metzitza, which is drawing out the blood. And indeed, you have the lavush, as it's brought down in Shulchan Aruch, Reish Samach Vav, who writes clearly in the topic of that milah, only milah itself is doiches Shabbos. As we have been learning, machshirei milah is not doiches Shabbos. Milah itself is doiches Shabbos. So the lavush words, the wordings that he uses is that the milah atzma, and the priya, and the metzitza, shekula meikar hamilahem. Now we're going to be learning that metzitza is done mipnei hasakana, but the concept of mipnei hasakana does not mean that it's not meikar hamila. It is meikar hamila. Meikar hamila is to do the bris, and then to do right afterwards that which is needed to make sure the baby is not in danger. Now, traditionally, metzitza is done bepeh. Normally, the male will be the one that will be suctioning out some of the blood that's in that area. Al pi Kabbalah, as there are many sources, there's an inyan that it has to be done metzitza bepeh, because Adam Arishon, who sinned, these are the words, he sinned with his hands and with his mouth when he and Chava partook of the eitz hadas toivara, and the tikkun for that is to do a mitzvah both with the hands and with the mouth. I spoke to Rabbi Nachman Kreiman, who is the expert moil here in Los Angeles, Lubavitch moil, and I'm going to share a couple of details about what he does by a bris. And again, we're going to be learning about if the baby is jaundice, as we'll have in the sugya today. But just mentioning that because of the pandemic, he just shared a gavaldike eitzah tova that if people want to do metzitza bepeh, one of the solutions today will be he asks the parent to do the metzitza. Now, there is another option of doing metzitza through a keli, but this is of tremendous conversation. Certainly, our mesoida is to do dafke metzitza bepeh, as we explained, reasons al pi Kabbalah, it's written so. And right now, when people feel that there might be a sakana, doing it bepeh, so then doing it bekeli is okay. And again, his solution is to tell the parent to do the metzitza bepeh. We're going to be learning about various bandages and ointments that were put on the wound in the times of Chazal, and that's going to lead us into a lot of medical topics. And here, most of them will come from Abaya. Abaya, as we know, is a Yasam, but he was raised by his nurse mother, who he referred to as Aim. So we're going to have many Amrali Aims from Abaya, all medical advice, some of which is brought down in Shulchan Aruch, even though normally the rule is, as we spoke already so many times, there's a chenim, hakadmoinim, not to practice the medicine from the Gemara. Nevertheless, one will come in Shulchan Aruch. We're going to be learning the importance not using metal instruments when it comes to wounds, because metal can cause an inflammation. We're going to be speaking about a baby that's reddish or a baby that's yellowish. We're going to be speaking about the Billy-Rubin test. And again, what do we do halacha l'maisa today? Every moil has a different mesoida. We'll be speaking about, again, I'm going to be speaking about Rabbi Nachman's policy based on the Piskei Dinim of Rab Zalman Shimon Devarkan, Olav Shalom. We're going to be learning in the Gemara that you have to have a munah when a tzaddik gives a bracha. It's part of the process. And then we're going to start on Kuf Lamed Daled Amud Beis, the new Mishnah. That's going to be speaking about bathing a baby in relation to the bris. These are one of the details that we write explicitly that Neshtanu Ho'itim, but in the times of Chazal, giving a baby a bath before the bris and after the bris. And according to some Tanoim, on the third day following the bris, that was extremely important for the baby's health. bathing in hot water is an Isur D'Rabbanan. Using water that was warmed on Shabbos, and even more, warming up water on Shabbos, that's already going to go into an Isur D'Oraisa. The Mishnah is speaking about bathing. As we'll learn, the Sugya will become clear that not only is the Mishnah saying that one is allowed to bathe the baby, but one can even use water that was warmed up on Shabbos. Obviously, being that to have warm water for a bath, it suffices for one to warm it from before Shabbos, because even in the times of Chazal, they had instruments that could have kept the water warm enough to have a warm bath. And we just mentioned that we paskin like the Chachamim, that Machshirei Mila is not doiche Shabbos, and warming up water could have been done before Shabbos. So even in the times of Chazal, based on the Shittas Rabbi Kiva or the Chachamim, the water was warmed up before, but it was used on Shabbos. Question is, what's going to happen if a person did what they needed to do, but the water spilled? So now what do you do regarding bathing a baby in hot water, which was needed then? So this is a very important machlokas rishonim. Just speaking it out now, but kitzur, if we'll have more time, we'll learn it when we learn the daf. It's called ishtapek chamime. The hot water spilled. This is the header of the topic. The Balamar says that if the hot water spilled, you may not do the bris. The Ramban says do the bris. And then after the bris, the baby then will be besakana. And now that the baby is besakana, so to save his life, or at least then that it was important to give a bath, now warm up the water. And this is a Gavaldika question. Can I do something now that's going to put me in a scenario that I will be besakana? And that's the machlekes between the Balamoid and the Ramban. I'll give one example. Now that we're heading already closer towards Tishrei, if a person is told by a doctor that they can only fast 1 day a month. Okay. So the question is, do they fast on Tzom Gedalia? And then they can't fast on Yom Kippur? Or do you say, no, look ahead. Don't fast on Tzom Gedalia in order for you to be able to fast on Yom Kippur. That's mamish the machlekes of the Balamoid and the Ramban. If we'll have time, we'll elaborate. Let's start on Daf Kuf Lamed Gimel Amid Beis. At the end of the 8th line before the bottom of the Amid, right, when the Gemara is referring back to the words of the Mishnah, Metzitza, going into 7 lines before the bottom of the Amid. If you have a moil that doesn't do metzitza, it doesn't draw out the blood, being that sakanahu, that endangers the health of the child, therefore, the abrinallah, you remove him. Just to add one more detail about the concept of metzitza bepeh, how does metzitza take away the danger? So many of the Rishonim say, and that's something that science, as science begins to catch up to the emes, already acknowledges that saliva has a lot of medicinal power in it. So the whole metzitza, according to many, is dafke bepeh, because it is the saliva that's needed to take away the sakon. Why do I need enough papa? I know that from the Mishnah. The Mishnah says that you do metzitza on Shabbos, and we're presuming that metzitza is an Isur D'Oraisa. I know that Danny spoke about a few days ago. What's the problem with Mila? Here we'll begin with chavala, wounding, drawing blood. And the fact that, and you're drawing blood when you're sucking out the blood. So if not for sakana, you would not be allowed to do it. So we know that from the Mishnah that it's a sakana. So the Gemara says no. Mordechay high dam mifkat pocket. We have the same concept in Ksubis regarding dam psulim, that maybe halachically we view the blood that's in that area, not that it is absorbed in the body, and then you are drawing out the blood, but it's as if the blood is in a container. And drawing it out is not any violation. You can do it because you're not violating Shabbos. So Kamash Malan, that's Rav Papa. He says, no, really the dam is chabure mechaber. It is considered connected to the body, and drawing it out is causing a wound. Causing a wound is violation of the av of chayvel netilas neshama. And yeah, that's the chiddush. And you know why you are allowed to do it? Because there is a danger. And the dumya, the ispelanis v'chamain, what the Mishnah mentioned right afterwards, you put on a bandage, and you and then you put on the herb that the kamain that you grind, and you put it on the ispelanis. My ispelanis v'chamain kilo yavat sakanahu hachinami. The fact that the Mishnah juxtaposes them kilo yavat sakanahu, and just to make it clear, sakana doesn't mean it's not part of the mitzvah. Like we quoted the Lavush. Lavush writes that the ikir Mila is the 3 steps. It's a 3-step process, not a 2-step process. And then one thing now that there's a sakana. Putting the ispalanis and the kamain is not part of the bris. But Hashem told us to do metzitza because part of the mitzvah and Hashem addressed only mitzitza, is to resolve the sakana aspect. And you do that through mitzitza, and again, ideally bepeh. And if there's a sakana doing bepeh, so then b'diavad, it could be done through a keli. All right. The noisten aleh is pelonis. Guys, just to know that the ispelonis is a bandage. The bandage, as we're learning the whole daf today, had some sort of therapeutical value. So whether it's a gauze that already has something on it, or we're going to see in the Gemara that a new shmata on a wound in itself is therapeutic to the wound, not only preventing bacteria to get in, not only preventing the wound to get scratched by clothing, but it is in itself therapeutic. So says the Gemara, Amar Abaya, here we're beginning with the Amar Abaya, is that Amaliyah, my mother, my nurse mother, told me regarding an espolonis, and ideally you put on the gauze, on this bandage, some sort of substance. So he began to spill the beans on what is a good substance, what's a good shmirach, save, I think in English, that you put on a gauze. So espolonis, the chulon kibe, all right? A type of gauze that's good for all types of wounds, it always works, is shave minoi tarbi, put on it a medication, an ointment that is made out of 7 parts of fat, and v'chada kira, and 1 should be made out of wax. No one knew that. And that mamish brings about healing to a wound or to pain. Rava Amar, all right? Rava said that kira v'kalba rishino, that the best save, the best ointment is wax and resin.
Salve, Rabbi, salve.
Salve, shoya. Where's Danny? All right. So now
he doesn't know such big words, sorry.
That Rabbi was once giving a drash in shul, and Kari'inu, and he was teaching what Abaya quoted from Abaya's aim, and Rabbi was quoting his secret ingredient, how to make the best type of salve. So Kari'inu, the name Manyume Asil Lamonayu. So there was the Manyume family. They were a family of physicians, and they made their parnasa by selling these ointments. And now the Rav in the shul is spilling the beans. He's telling you how to make the best type of ointment. So they're losing their livelihood, and they were so upset that they began to rip their clothing. So just before we go on, at the end of Kedushin, when the Mishnah says that Toiv Sheberoifim Ligehenim, many people link that Mishnah to the Gemara over here. What's pshat that the best of doctors go to Gehenim? Where's Dr. Daniel? No insult to you. The pshat is that a doctor, they're telling everyone how to make their own medication, which means less people will be in pain. The illnesses will be healed quicker. They should be happy, but they're not happy because they're losing their parnasa. They don't want for anyone to have access to the medicine without going to them. That's the pshat that Toiv Sheberoifim from Legehenim. Just Hasidim Taich, that Toiv Sheberoifim Legehenim, I have to say this, is that who are the best doctors? The ones that go into hell to save a patient. Like now again, we have a pandemic. So what's the gewaltigkeit of the people in the medical world? Is that they go inside the danger zone, or they don't run away from the danger zone because they have to heal people. Fakert, that what's a good doctor will go into Gehenim to help a patient. That's beautiful. But anyways, coming back over here, the pshat here is that these doctors, they were very upset that Rava spilled the beans. So Rava told them, no, take it easy. I left over 1 medication that no one knows. The irony is, and that's I think the humor in the Gemara, is that the Gemara writes it down. So now the doctors don't even have that as a secret as well. But what did Rava tell them? No, there was one thing that I didn't teach in public. And what is that? That which Shmuel taught, also a doctor. Amar Shmuel, if a person washes one's face and they don't dry it properly, guys, this is brought down in Shulchan Aruch. So then nikterulei, on top of kufla medalid, what happens to the person is that he is afflicted with chaspanisa. Now Rashi brings 2, and both are brought in Shulchan Aruch, both that boils, right? Boils come out, or b'chlal, that the skin cracks. Rashi writes in the beginning, right? Panav mizbakois. So it's a certain type of skin ailment, and again, you need to have an ointment. And my takante, that I'm not teaching in public, but it's only written here in the Gemara, is limshei tuva b'maya de silka. Wash your face well with barsht. Guys, barsht is gavaldik. So take beets and cook them, and that juice, wash your face. Your face will be so red one big boil. No one is going to see the boil. I'm just kidding. So that's the solution. And they at least they were that at least there's one treatment that people will still have to come to them, and they'll be the grace of doctors charging the monies and having parnasa v'chul. All right. The Mishnah said, now that we mentioned that you have to put the kamoin. Kamoin is what was put on the ispalanis, on the wound of the bris. Now you have to grind it. Grinding it is a violation of an av. So says the Mishnah that loy shachak me'erev Shabbos. So the Mishnah says that you should grind it with your teeth because you're doing a shinui, and here there's a sakana, and then you put it on the wound. And then the Mishnah spoke about beating together wine and oil. Beating together wine and oil, we mentioned when we learned the Mishnah, is an isur derabanan. Why is it an isur derabanan? Because it looks like you're preparing to cook. And the Mishnah actually said that there is no need to beat thoroughly the wine and the oil to put it on the wound of the bris, because even if you just pour wine and oil in a keli together, even though it's not thoroughly beaten together, it also works. So Mechlal, there's no problem. There's no need for you. Beat it before Shabbos, but if you didn't do it, the Mishnah says put each one in the same keli, and that will be good enough. Even things that may not be done l'milah, nevertheless, oisin la b'yamtiv could be done for a choyle b'yantiv. Right, as we'll see in the next braisa, l'choyle doesn't only mean for a bris. B'chlal, for example, sheichakim la kamoin. You may grind kamoin. Why? Guys, this is the rule. Because kamoin is an ingredient that's also used for eating. And mitoich shohutra, that's the rule. We pass like Basilil. Anything that is allowed to be done on Yom Tov, l'tzorech choichol nefesh, can be done even shaloi l'tzorech choichol nefesh. So for remedy purposes, you want to grind up kamoin, you are allowed to do it. Likewise, says this braisa, you are allowed to mix. But torah means to mix thoroughly, mix wine and oil. I get it. That the braisa says you are allowed to grind up kamoin even for someone who's sick. Why? Because like we mentioned, since the chazalik data, so that's a heter. So now he's asking, yayin v'shemen chazi nami b'shabbos l'choyla. Hold on, yayin and shemen. Now this takes us back a little bit to the whole sugi that we learned regarding the isur derabanan of using medications on Shabbos. Something that is not necessarily looking like you're doing it for therapeutical purposes is something that you are allowed to do, even if you are doing it for therapeutical purposes. B'chlal, the Gemara is asking that yayin v'shemen, to be, it's going to look like even beating them together thoroughly is something that can be done b'chlal l'choyla. And by the way, that's going to be a kasha in our Mishnah. The Tanya, here it says clearly in the Braisa, ein torfin yayin v'shemen l'choyla b'Shabbos, so holds the Tanach. However, Amar Rab Shimon ben Elazar in the name of Rav Meir, no, that af torfin yayin v'shemen, you are allowed to thoroughly beat together, mix together wine and oil. And the reason for that is that again, what will be the problem of mixing them together? So it says, interesting that Rabbanan, because it looks like cooking. Rav Meir holds that if a person is a chayla, and as she writes, a chayla she'ein bo sakana, the chachamim didn't care if you mix it together. And not only that, the Mishnah says a story that Amar Rab Shimon ben Elazar pamachas chosh Rav Meir b'meov, he had some sort of stomach pains, and uvikashnu litra b'liyayin v'shemen, and we, knowing that he himself just paskined, right, that after yayin v'shemen b'shamas, we asked him, can we mix it for you? And I was, I'm putting ointment. We learned the sugya. Ointments that you put on your body, if the ointments are very liquidy, so there's no issue of memachik, right? Elama, you can't take therapy or medicine on Shabbos. Things that healthy people do, you can do it also. People used to smear themselves with oil. So we wanted to mix it together. However, Rav Meir says, no, I don't want you to do it for me. Why? Because the Chachamim held that you can't do it, even though Rav Meir was the maker. So we asked Rav Meir, your own opinion, you're nullifying your statement, you were lenient. So he responded, even though I hold that you are allowed to thoroughly mix wine and oil for a chayla she'ein by sakana, because the chazal's takana of don't do something that looks like you're cooking. I don't say why when there's a chayla. Nevertheless, since my friends argued with me, I'm going to honor my friends. In other words, end of quote. So the Gemara says, hold on, that's beautiful. Rav Meir was machman on himself. That makes sense. Who knew the machman on nafshe? But Rav Meir clearly in the Brisa says that l'kol al mishrei. So here's the question: since Tam Mishnah Rav Meir, it looks like our Mishnah's contradiction of the Brisa. Because our Mishnah says that you may not thoroughly mix it to put it on a wound of a bris. So the Gemara says, no. Hassan, over there in the Brisa, right, that Rav Meir allows it was loy boil licha or lecha. We're speaking about a type of mixing that doesn't require you to thoroughly mix it. And that's something that Rav Meir permitted. Hachi over here, what the Mishnah does not allow you to do is to thoroughly mix it. Thoroughly mixing it is something that even Rav Meir also prohibits. So the Gemara says, hold on, ishkoyach. So why don't you use it in the Mishnah without thoroughly mixing it? Hachinami na'avid v'loy leilach. Why don't you use it on the bris without thoroughly mixing it? So the Gemara says exactly that's what the Mishnah says you could do. The Havamina was that you put each one on the wound separately. So the Gemara says, no, we touched this when we learned the Mishnah yesterday. Put them both in a keli. Don't thoroughly mix it. It mixes a little bit. That's like something that's permitted. Now, to do it stam, we don't allow you to do it because it looks like you're preparing to cook. But whenever there's a chayla, even if it's a chayla she'ein by sakana, then you are allowed to do it. So holds Rav Meir. And you don't need to thoroughly mix it for it to have the benefits which we are looking for when it comes to putting it on the wound. You get the benefits without thoroughly mixing it. But guys, don't forget, a bris, right after the bris, we're saying if you need to break the Shabbos, after the fact, we are allowed to do it. But the point of the Mishnah is, like we learned, do the minimum passable. The chol hechel the efshar is mishaninon, right? So like how we're jumping. So now that we mentioned what you could do on Yontif, how Yontif is different, right? Because Matrech Shehutra. So let's go like this. Ein misananin esachardul b'masnenes shaloi. You may not strain mustard seeds on a strainer on Yontif. Guys, number one, oichel nefesh is allowed, but remember the rule. Anything that you could have done before Yontif, then you should have done it before Yontif, and you can't do it on Yontif anymore. Now, straining.
Rabbi.
Yes.
I thought grinding spices is something that dafka has to be done before Yontif because there's no advantage of doing it fresh.
That's exactly what we're saying, Danny.
Okay, but we said before that you could grind the cumin on Yontif.
Because it's for a chayla. Because it's for a chayla. That's the Brisa.
Okay.
All right. Clear. No, when the first Brisa says oisin la bi Yontif, it's for a chayla. Make that clear. And now we're not learning about chayla then. And now we're learning stam. So just to know that straining is like a zaboider because the inner mustard is getting separated from the outer klipa. The ein mematkin oisay begachelis. You cannot sweeten mustard by putting in a burning coal. Because the way it worked was, like Rashi explains, they would put a burning coal in the mustard seeds, and the coal would be put out. And extinguishing is something that may not be done on Yontif. Says the Gemara, Amalei Abaya L'Rabbi Yosef, Maishno Hadetran. We clearly learned in a Mishnah, and this is a Mishnah here in Shabbos, that Noisnin Beitza B'Masnen Shol Chardel, that if you have mustard seeds and you want to color them, so they would put an egg and they would put it through a strainer. And then teva would be that the yellow would go down first. So the yellow would go into the mustard seeds. And you're doing that for coloring, and that is something that you are allowed to do. Okay. Says the Gemara. Now imagine, by the way, this Mishnah is on Shabbos. You can do it on Shabbos. Is Chavadi, you can do it on Yontif. How is that different than separating the mustards from its klipa or malay? No. Hassan, putting an egg into mustard. Why loy mechse? My friends, this is very important. I know it's getting mamish late. Guys, the concept of psikresha is not said by boider for whatever reason. You're doing boider, you're separating the yellow of the egg from the white of the egg. Since your intent is not to separate, you're coloring the mustard seeds. It's not called boider, and you are allowed to do it even on Shabbos. But over here, we just quoted on Yontif, right, that you're separating the inner seed of the mustard seed from the outer klipa, it looks like you're biting. And by the way, this is like a Valdika Toismus. We should remember all of this. The one Toismus, what do you mean mechsekabited? Why isn't this a bona fide bited? Now, the answer is, Toismus says, because the outer klipa is also edible, is just that you don't want to eat it now. But guys, if you remember, when we learned the whole sugya of bited, we kept on mentioning that the definition of psoilus is not that it's really objectively psoilus. Psoilus means that if you don't want it, it's psoilus. The way Tosfos learns our Gemara, that if it is objectively food, it's only bited midrabanan, right? Clearly, look inside the Tosfos. Miu bited lo yava shegam psoilus lo lachila. Wow. Anyways, back over here. The aim. You may not sweeten the mustards by putting a colon, like we mentioned, because what's the issue? The issue is that you're going to extinguish the coal. So Gemara says, like kasha. Exactly. The whole issue is extinguishing the coal. Kan, right, the kulam, the second braisa is begachalas shel mateches, when you have a metal coal. And so what? Says Rashi, 12 lines from the top of the Amid, that dear, I'm sorry, next Rashi. But Kan, the first braisa is Begachelo Shel Eitz. Says Rashi, 12 lines from the top. What's Gachelo Shel Eitz? There it's also the Shayach Ba Kibui. Because when you have a wooden coal, when it goes out, it becomes a charcoal. It becomes a pacham. Lefisho is a pacham. However, says Rashi, Gacheles Shel Mateches L'Shayach Ba Kibui Te'inanas Pacham. Back in the Gemara. Amalei Abayla Rabbi Yosef. If we are concerned about extinguishing, so why are we allowed to put the meat on top of a barbecue when the juices of the meat put out the burning coals? You are extinguishing Amalei. So he says, now Hassan, when it comes to the meat, since loy efsher, in other words, you are allowed to prepare food. And preparing food today is a lot fresher than preparing food erev. So if the only way to prepare food on a barbecue is having the juices put out the coals, you are allowed to extinguish when it is l'tzayda chachila. Guys, this is the source. On Yom Tov, I always say that I don't see why one should be allowed to put down the flame when you can put the pot away, if that's an option. But if the only way of making food is by putting the fire lower, that's the source. That's okay. You know, it's hasam lo yefsha. Lo yefsha means there's no other option, so it's permitted. But over here, what's over here? When it comes to sweetening the mustard seeds, you did not need to do it on Yom Tov. I know that the only way to sweeten them is to put coals in, and if the coals are made out of wood, they're going to go out. But Efshe means you could have done it from before Yom Tov, and any type of food prep that could have been done from before Yom Tov, we don't say, it's oichel nefesh. No, do it before. You didn't do it before, don't do it. Guys, we're learning Yom Tov. If you remember in DAF Tzadikei, we learned about an isur of making cheese on Shabbos. What was the isur? We learned amazing, your boina. What's the boina? You're squeezing the curds together. All right? But here it's already oichel nefesh. So, by the way, on DAF Tzadikei, there was a machlokes whether making cheese is an isur d'oraisa. Let's follow, it's an isur d'rabbanan. Right? It looks like your boina. And on Shabbos, you can't do it. What about on Yom Tov? How is it connected? Because this whole concept could, is cheese fresher when you do it on the same day? Then you would be allowed to do it. If you could have just as good done the cheese before Yom Tov, then not. So Amalei, it's asur. And let's go, that's asur midrabanan. Yomaishna milisha. Amalei, same concept. Hasam lo yefsher. Lo yefsher means bread will be fresher when you make it today. So you got to knead it today. If you would knead it yesterday, it wouldn't be as fresh. But when it comes to cheese, since efsher to do it before Yom Tov, then we don't say that it's sutra. It sounds like they're saying that a gevina that's made boy bayoim, right? Bas yom means now is the best? No. So says the Gemara, this is what the Naradoins were saying, the afilu gevina bas yom ma'aliyah. If it's 1 day old, it's still good. But the Adarabah, they meant to say it's even better if it was made a day before. Certain things get better, like we think the older you get, the better you get. And just to repeat a place was that we didn't learn when we learned Sadekei, which is Mamash Moededik. And that is that the whole Isur of Gibun is only an Isur de Rabbanan, as we're learning. That's the way we paskin, because it's like binyan. Really, it means that to do food Gibun, to make cheese on Yom Tov, midoiraisa is mutter. So ask Tosfos, guys, put on your seatbelts. Why is one not allowed to build on Yom Tov if on a doiraisa level you are allowed to make cheese? So why don't we apply the rule? You can do binyan b'doiraisa. So then why can't you build your house on Yom Tov? And Tosfos answers it's only also mishum uvda the chayil. Go figure. Okay, weiter. Says the Gemara weiter. The next part of the Mishnah was that type of special custom-made bandage that was put on the wound right after the bris. The purpose of that was not for medicinal purposes, but the purpose was to make sure that the foreskin doesn't grow back on top of the corona. Okay. And again, if you didn't make the chaluk, the Mishnah says you can't make a chaluk, which is making a keli on Shabbos. Elama, you can use any garment. That's what the Mishnah said. And then the Mishnah spoke about how to transport it and how to transport it only b'chatzir l'chatzir, putting it with the shinoi, even though there was no yiru b'chatzis. So again, more medicines. Amar Abaya, Amr Li'em, Hai chaluk di'anuka. When you are using this type of chaluk, putting it on this bris on the member. So he says, Lefanye lesitra li'iloi. Make sure that the bandage should be turned upwards. What he means, says Rashi, is that whenever you have a piece of shmata, you have loose threads. And if the loose threads will be between the bandage and the flesh of the baby, then some of those threads can get stuck in the wound. And when you take off the bandage, you can hurt the baby. So Pasha, make sure that the loose threads are from the outside. By Dilma Midbek Gardomine, maybe one thread even will get stuck. And it can mutilate the baby to the point that later the baby will not be able to father children. Ime da Abaya, she practiced what she preached, that of the kisisa lefalda, she would make a lining to these chalukim, a lining to guarantee that in between the bandage and the flesh, there is a lining which is even better. Make sure, no way that a thread can get stuck in the wound. If you don't have such a chaluk, so Lisa, the Lisa, the Islay Sifsa, you have to bring a shmata that has a hem. Having a hem, you see, you need two things over here. You need to have a type of material that the material will press into the flesh. Pressing into the flesh is good. But on the other hand, making sure that the edges don't get stuck in the wound, the likreche, lesifsa, lesatoi, she would tie the hem at the bottom, wherever there's the bottom means away from the wound, the oyef, and then she would turn it over to the outside upwards, all different techniques, making sure that to distance as far as possible any threads from the wound. Fighting medicine. If a baby is born and the anus, in other words, the place where a person is moitzarei, is closed, so you have to cut.
The anus, Rabbi. It's the anus.
So you have to fix the baby, and you have to know where to cut. You don't even know where it should have been. So says the mother of Abaye, l'shayfe mishcha, you should smear that area with oil, and and put it against the sun, and the heicha, the zig, wherever the skin is see-through, you'll see that there is likari, there, rip it open, but you know what you should use? Not a knife, but the sa'arta, you should use a barley and cut it open, shasiva etiv, right? Horizontally and vertically. And the point is, don't use a metal instrument, because metal could cause inflammation. Today, I know we know how to sterilize a lot better, but since you have such an option, it's always better to avoid metal touching, I think tetanus shots, bachalas, for this type of inflammation that could happen when something that's not that clean metal touches a wound. Another eitzah of medicine from his nurse mother. If you have a baby that's not nursing, you know why the baby is not nursing? Because because the mouth is cold. And my takante, what's the solution? Bring a cup filled with coals, and the linkere lahade pume, and put it near the baby's mouth. So since the chayim pume umayitz, when the mouth will warm up, it will be able to properly nurse. The Ben Yehoyada says Gavaldik, that the illusion here is that a baby who's not suckling is a person. If a child is not learning Torah, you know why? Because the teacher is not on fire. So if the teacher would teach mitvarim kai, then the Talmud would learn Torah. That's what he says. And let's take this concept to the next piece of the Gemara as well. If he can't breathe, and we'll see in the next, there's not breathing well. Bachlal, he's not breathing, is limpethe benafasa. You should fan him with a fan, and umenashte, and he will be able to breathe. So let's use the same concept. Ruach. In other words, you got to give warmth, you got to give spirit. And if the child is not functioning, it has to do with the adult, with the teacher who's not on fire and not as spirited as he could and should be. Avi means he's breathing, but he's not breathing well. So you should take the afterbirth of the mother and and you should smear it over his flesh, and it's going to help him breathe. And again, the afterbirth is the origin. You connect the baby back to its source. That's another Gavaldik Koyach. I know amongst Hasidim, all of the stories that we have is that when a Yid temporarily got off the path, one of the ways you bring the Jew back is to remind him of his youth. When you bring him back, when you start remembering how it used to be in Cheder and how the experience was in Shul and with the Rebbe, that mamash has a Gavaldik effect. Connect the baby to its afterbirth. Where's Dr. Daniel? This is mamash Gavaldik Eitzes over here. If you have a baby that is pushed too little, he's not growing well. He's small. So the same concept. Bring the afterbirth, right? You have to hold on to that. And the afterbirth is not sized uniformly. One side is little, one side is larger. It's narrow and wide. So you want the baby to go from little to big. So when you're going to smear it over the skin of the baby, begin on the narrow side, smear it towards the larger side, and that's, so to say, going to empower him to grow. And the opposite, if the baby is too big, he's obese, then then take the afterbirth and smear the baby by beginning using the wider side, go into the narrower side, and that's a zasigula that's going to empower the baby to lose a couple of pounds. How great is that? Chai's a $1 billion business over here. Save the afterbirth, that's going to help you lose weight later. Guys, this halacha l'maisa now. A baby that has a reddish tint to his entire flesh. You know what that means? Said the aim of Abaye, the akate lo ivla be dama is a haraya, that the blood is not properly absorbed in the body. And if you're going to make the bris milah, the baby will bleed out, and therefore the tarchulei, wait. The ivla be dama, and only then vilamahulam, and only then circumcise the baby. Likewise, says aim of Abaya, the yarak, if a baby is yellow or greenish, we call that jaundice. That there is not yet enough blood, there isn't yet enough blood, or today we word it differently, that the liver is not properly processing the blood. So what should you do? Again, litarchu, you have to wait until there is more blood, and only then and only then may you circumcise. So I just want to share the following, that this is something that's relatively common. And there's a test that we call today the Billy-Rubin test, which measures the number of what we call jaundice. And again, this is from Rav Nachman here in Los Angeles, God bless him. Based on the Psak Din of Rav Zalman Shimon, this is what they do. Here's the Nakuda. Whether the number is 10, whether the number is 12, I know different Moelim have different numbers, but I'm going to go with Rav Nachman, he uses 10 or 12. If it's above that, then he won't do the bris bismanoi. But before it hits 15, we don't consider this baby a baby that's called chayla kol gufay. And if the baby doesn't reach the level of chayla kol gufay, then the moment it goes back down, he'll do the bris. But the moment it hits 15, that number was from Rav Zalman Shimon Devarkin, then it's not enough for it to go back down to 14 or to 13. Then we consider the baby a chayla b'chol gufay, and then you have to wait until it hits 10. And once it hits 10, you have to wait 7 days me'es le'es. And I just clarified with him yesterday, learning the Gemara beforehand, that we're medagdik to do it right afterwards. We do that. And at kedei kach, that since it's 7 days me'es la'es, if he knows that it went down to 10, let's say midday, he'll ask to do the bris 7 days later, says on the afternoon, because you have the 7 days me'es la'es. Okay, weiter. The Tanya, where do we get this concept from? From the following story. Amar Rabbi Nosson, I once went somewhere far out there. A woman came to me. And then she had a second son, and she made a bris milah v'meis. And she brought for me her third baby. And I saw that the baby had this reddish shoe. Had this red, the skin was reddish. Like we learn, wait until the skin goes back to a normal color. And indeed, in Dinalay, and she made a bris, and thank God he survived it. And she named the baby Nasan Abavli. I want to point out the following. When do we give a name? Right after the bris. When did our prior children pass away? You think they passed away the moment they made the bris? A little bit later. That means that when she named him Nasan Abavli, right, you can argue the nest didn't happen. She didn't know whether it worked or not. So for Mikan, that when a tzaddik says to do something, you have to have a munah it's going to work. She had such a munah that this baby will live. She already was celebrating that miracle. She was celebrating this new event that finally she has a baby that will survive her bris, and she right away named him Nasan Abavli. And as we have all of these stories, it was a story that Mordechay once shared with me many years ago. I think it was the first time he met me. He's my mother's uncle. He's my great uncle. That there were two women that went into the Frierdiker Rebbe in Russia, and both of them had no children. And the Rebbe benched them together that they'll have a child. It was mamash, not only you'll have and you'll have, it was as a general bracha. And one had a child and one didn't. And Hasidim wanted to know, how does that happen? The same Rebbe, the same bracha. The answer is that one of them, the moment they got the bracha, she went and she bought a baby carriage. I mean, she had such a munah that's going to happen. In Russia, people didn't have money. She made an effort to get a baby carriage. She had a munah, that was the keli for the bracha. And likewise, the same story with the yellow. And now when I got to that place, Shlishi, she had a third baby that he had lefanai, and Reisiv here, that he was yellow. He had jaundice, right? The Billy Reuben test was over 15. Kitzatzti boy, I looked at him. And the yellow means that there isn't enough blood, that there wasn't blood in the member. And therefore, what's the problem with that? Look inside, guys, the second to last line in Rashi. This is very important, says Rashi. Problem is, that if, who cares if there's no blood in the member? You say there's not enough blood in the body. No, I saw that there was no blood over there because you need to have dam leaving when you make the cut. This mikan is the source that those moyalim, from their ignorance, that they use the type of clamp that suctions out or doesn't allow blood flow to the point that when you make a cut, no blood goes out. That is not good. That's not a kosher milah. That's the Rashi here, Kuf Lamed Daled, back in the Gemara. So what happened? I told her the same thing, that wait until the jaundice goes away, and and so and excuse me, and here also, Nasan Abavli al Shemi. Gavaldik. Here another big topic, right? When we have the Somachloikas about how many times does something have to happen to establish a chazaka, and when it comes to a danger, right, that's the whole point, that twice is enough to establish a chazaka. So from our Gemara, we see that even though this woman had two children and they died after Mila, and indeed, before the Nasan Abavli came there, she was not allowed to be mal her children, but when he realized that this baby to be mal him now was taka dangerous, but later when he gets healthier, there's no danger, we don't say, no, she had two babies that died after Mila, this family can never do a bris anymore. No, he identified the problem, and he had the right to paskin that once the red goes away or the yellow goes away, then taka do a bris. And that's very important. Okay, we have 50 more minutes. Let's hop it in. It's a very easy sugya. This is a topic on which we say in Shulchan Aruch that nishtanu ha'itim. Right nowadays, taking a bath before the milah and after milah in warm water is not as important as it was in the times of Chazal. Now, taking a bath in warm water is in violation of an isur derabanan. Using water that was warmed on Shabbos is already closer to a problem because we are afraid, even if a guy did it, that we might do it. And warming up water on Shabbos is avad and isur de'oraisa of bishul. Now, the Mishnah is not speaking about the warming up of water. That's something that will evolve in between the lines in the Gemara. The Mishnah is speaking about rechitza, but we may not violate isur derabanan. But since it was that important to bathe the baby before and after the bris, so the Mishnah will allow us to do it before and after the bris. Let's start reading the Mishnah. Tanach says, we bathe the baby, bein lifnei milah, bein la'achar milah. We're speaking about a milah bismana that's done on Shabbos, so before and afterwards bathe the baby. Bathing meaning normal bath. Then the Mishnah says a next liner that appears to contradict itself. You can sprinkle water on the baby by hand, not with a utensil. Make a shinoi. And like Rashi points out, the Gemara is going to ask, that's the stira. Is it marchitzin or is it mizalfin? We'll get to that in a moment. Rabbi ben Azariah adds, he's more lenient. We'll see more in the Gemara, different options of understanding the Mishnah. Marchitzin as hakotin, vayom hashlishi shchaliyas b'Shabbos. And as it says, Shenemar in Parshas Vayishlach, Vayihi bayom hashlishi b'hiyoysom koyavin. That's when Shimon and Levi went and they killed out the whole city of Shechem. So there's a certain type of danger that we have on the third day, whether it is the third day more than the second day, or whether even up until the third day. That's a big machlokes here in the Rishonim. But he holds that you can do it even on the third day. Next din in the Mishnah, Safek, if you have a Safek, quickly Rashi, 2 lines from the top of the Amid, meaning there's a doubt whether the baby was a full term or whether the baby was born in the 8th month. When a baby was born on the 8th month in the times of Chazal, the chances of him surviving was very little. And therefore, that baby was viewed as a rock, which is muksa. We'll speak about that later. And therefore, if you know the baby was born on the 8th month, you definitely don't do a bris milah on Shabbos. But what happens if you have a doubt whether you're mechoyev or not, or if you have an androgynous, that means you don't know whether this person is male or female, because this person has the physical anatomy of both male and female. So the Tanach says, Ein mechal on all of us Shabbos. However, Rabbi Yehuda matir by the androgynous. A lot more in the Gemara. So we're going to leave Safek and androgynous for later. Let's begin analyzing the Reisha. Like we mentioned, that the Reisha seems to contradict itself. The Tanach that's speaking about the day of the bris on Shabbos, he begins marchitzin, right? Bein lifnei bein la'achar. Marchitzin means a normal bath without a shinoi, and then he says umizalfin. So there's 2 ways of learning the Mishnah. Answer number 1 is Rav Yehuda and Rabbi Baravua. These 2 Amoraim, they both entice the Mishnah Tarvayu that you have to add the words Ketzad, Ketzad Tani, add in a Ketzad, meaning this is how you read the Mishnah. How? Not normally. Right, Ketzad, how do you do the bath? Taka, you can do it, but only Mizalfan Alavayad, Avoloy Bekli. Let me just add in between the lines. And on the third day, garnish, nothing, not even beyond. And on that, says Rabbi ben Azario, that you can bathe the baby normally and on the third day. Tanach is very machmir. Third day bechlal not. On the first day only ketzat, only mitashinoi. And Rabbi ben Azario holds you can bathe the baby normally on the day before and after, and even on the third day. Rava challenges these two Amirayim, and he says, don't. In a Braisa, we do that more often. In a Mishnah, don't put a Ketzad Tani. Marchitzin. Marchitzin means marchitzin. So Rava puts a comma. Rava learns the pshat differently. Marchitzin is a cotton, bein lifnei milah achar milah. Right? And that this is what Rava is reading in. By Yom Rishon, the Mishnah is beginning on the day of Kedarkoi. And now, what about the third day? So before, the 2 Amoraim learned on the third day bechlal not. No. Rabbi says the first day kedarkoi ubayom hashlishi shchaliyas b'Shabbos. It is there that the Tanach holds make a shinoi mizalfan al vayad v'loy bekeli, and only on that says Rabbi ben Azario that even on the third day, Marchitzin es hakotam v'yom hashlishi shechalis b'Shabbos shenemar v'yom hashlishi b'yosem koyavim. Achloikas had to learn the Mishnah. The Gemara says, "Tiny kavasi derava marchitzin hakotam bein lifnei mila bein la'achar mila." Look at this clearly. V'yom harishon kedarkoi u'v'yom hashlishi shechalis b'Shabbos. Tanakama holds mizalf and all biyad. And on that says Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah marchitzin es hakotam yom hashlishi shechalis b'Shabbos directly. V'afal pisha ein hay l'davar zeicha l'davar, where it says in Vayishlach v'yiba yom hashlishi b'yosem koyavim. And now the Braisa adds a one-liner. Now I know that this one-liner is coming behemshach to Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, but it's back to the Tanakama. Shehem is alfin. According to Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, you don't do ziluf. You do a normal bath. Shehem is alfin. Shehem is alfin lebekos lebekadam. Don't sprinkle water using a keli. That's also normal. Make a bigger shinoi, right? Lebekos lebekadam lebekli elbayat. Now I know that this kishehem is alfin are words of the Braisa, but it's right after afal pisha ein hay l'davar zeicha l'davar. So the Gemara clarifies that this final line is only le'tanakam. Now, before we come back to the machlekes how to learn the Mishnah, when our Mishnah says the words shenemar, good. But when the Braisa says afal pisha ein raya zeicha, why is it only a zeicha? L'chayr it's a raya. My afal pisha ein hay l'davar zeicha l'davar. It says in Vayishlach that by yom hashlishi you're koyavim. So the Gemara answers, no, it's not a raya. Because there it was adults, and adults heal slower than children. That we all know. So maybe by adults, since it takes them more time to heal, for them the third day is b'yosem kavim. How do you know that the minor is still suffering on the third day? Mishum d'gadol, the one saw like bisra hayam in shnel, but cotton maybe saw like bei bisra hayam. You have no raya that he's still koyavim, so that's like afal pisha ein raya. It's only a zeichel. So now that we have a Braisa that substantiates Rava's way of learning the Mishnah, so now here's a story. And obviously it was a case where they wanted to know whether you can bathe the baby on Shabbos. And Oyer Kish might say that he holds that even the Tanakama on Bay Bayoim you can bathe normal lifnei elachar. So you're leaning into ruling. And right after that ruling, Rava became sick. And Rava understood that he became sick because he must have given a erroneous psak din. Amar Rava said to his chavre, why did I have to mix it into the Tuamiroim? Right, the Tuamiroim was Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Baravua. They touched the Mishnah different. That the Chachamim Kesatnei, even by Yoim only with the Shinoi. Why did I have to mix into that? And because of me learning the Mishnah leniently and then paskening that way, that's why God is punishing it. So the Gemara asks, the Talmidim asked Rava, Amalei Rabbanan LeRava, I don't understand. We just Tanya Kavasei de Rava, Tanya Kavasei de Mar. Amalahu Rava responded, you're right, but if you learn the Mishnah's mashma like the two Amiroim, Masnisin Kavosayu Daika, and me my, because me, the Ka'amar Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah Oimer, quoting the words of the Mishnah, Marchitzim Esakot Meyam Shlish B'Shchalias B'Shabbos, I Omrad B'Shloma Tanakama Mizalfim Kaman, if the Tanakama never allowed bathing, I knew the Kaman Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, he introduced something new, not Mizalfim, yes, Marchitzim. But if I'm right, and the Mizalfin is only by Yoim HaShlishi, so then, hi, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, Oimer Marchitzim, that's not the way it should have been worded. The word should be Af Marchitzim. In other words, the Tanakama already allowed Marchitzim on the first day. So all Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah is doing is extending the heter even for the third day. And since he doesn't say the word af, so the Mishnah tak is mashma like the two chachamim. And therefore, I should not have chosen the Braisa's version of their machlokes over my colleagues' Mishnah's interpretation of the interpretation of the machlokes, and that's why I got sick. We'll go back there. Kiyasar Abdimi, Amar Rabbi Elazar, the Amoira, that halacha ke Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, which is, my friends, lekula, whichever way you learn. Now, once we have that halacha, okay, according to Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, you certainly don't have to make a shinoi, but the question is, can you bathe the entire baby or only the member? That's what they wondered. So, and Rabbi Yaakov Shemei, Mistabra, right, that Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah allows archatzas kol gufay. Why? Because the Isal Kadaitach only archatzas milah. Mi gara michamen al gabe makeh. B'chlal, whenever there is any wound, can you put hot water on that limb? Now, guys, this goes back into the isur of shchika samamanim. But don't forget, you're not putting a medicine, you're just putting hot water. And Rav B'chlal was lenient. The Amarav ein moinen chamin or vashemen ma'al gaba hamake b'Shabbos. In other words, Rav did not view putting warm water or oil on a limb as a exclusive therapeutical activity, and therefore there is no takanas chachamim for shchika samamanim. So if you are allowed to put hot water b'chlal on any chayla, right? So for that you have to paskin. So what is Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah being mechadesh? Here there's a bigger sakana. It must be that because of the bris you can bathe the entire body. That was the response to the Havei Baba Marah. However, Mask of Lord Rabbi Yosef, when he's challenging this Ahu Midrabanan, whoa, there's another element that we have to now start considering. Maybe Rav Hutaka allows for you to put warm water on any wound on Shabbos, only on that limb, but that's only if that water was warmed up from before Shabbos. And maybe Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah doesn't allow archatzas kol gufay. But what's the novelty of a bris? That here you can even have the water warmed on Shabbos. Now we're already, that's why I mentioned in the introduction here, we already are introducing what about, is it only the bathing that is circumvented? Bathing is only midrabanan. Warming the water on Shabbos is a much bigger problem. And maybe that's the chiddush of our Mishnah. So challenges Rav Dimi to Rabbi Yosef. How do you know that this is allowed? And if that's the case, it goes together. If our Mishnah never allows water to be warmed on Shabbos, then Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah's heted has to be kol gufay. Because if not, if it's water that's warm from before Shabbos only on the limb, for that you don't need a bris. We already know from an Rav that that's allowed. But so that's the question. What is the Mishnah referring to? So Amar Abaya, Ano boyi di ishanile. I wanted to challenge now Rav Dimi's comeback to Rabbi Yosef. I wanted to tell him something, but before I had a chance, the Kadam Ishanile Rabbi Yosef. And Rabbi Yosef says, no, you cannot say that our Mishnah doesn't allow you to warm up water on Shabbos. Our Mishnah must allow you to warm up water on Shabbos, because at the end of the day, our Mishnah is dealing with a sakana. Because it is a sakana. It's not just a chayla. So therefore, where are we at right now? Since he's arguing that our Mishnah does allow for you to warm up water on Shabbos, it could be you can warm up water on Shabbos. That's the heter. But you know what you can bathe? Only that limb. That's where we're at right now. So right now we're saying that from our Mishnah, we don't know that you can bathe the whole body. Our Mishnah does allow you to warm up the water on Shabbos, but maybe only that limb. And a chanami. So we did not know. But that's the thing. When Ravin came with a chiddush, and he knew the right answer. You know, from our Mishnah, you don't know that you can bathe the whole body. Yes, you can warm it up on Shabbos, but maybe only the limb. When Rabbi came, Amar Rabbo, Amar Rabbi Elazar, or V'amnilah, that when Ravin came, he quoted Rabbo, Amar Rabbi Yechanan, that halacha ki Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, and then he added a bigger leniency that we didn't know until he came. Bein b'cham and shucham b'Shabbos, bein b'cham and shucham b'erev Shabbos. That we already know until now. That's the point of our Mishnah. And now, bein archatzas kol gufay, bein archatzas only mila. In other words, whatever is needed. If you feel only the wound, we're not saying stam do it, but you can bathe the whole body also, and all of that is because na play shesakon lehiloi. Let's have another few lines. Go for Amarav. Ein moinen chaman b'shavim me'al gavamakim b'Shabbos. What's the issue? The issue is, again, Rav is speaking about waters that were not warmed up on Shabbos. We're only speaking about the issue of shchika samaman. Can you put hot water on a wound? Why not? Why not? Does it look like you're doing something for healing? B'chlal, people put warm water on their limbs and oil on their limbs. So Rav is a lenient. Shmuel is machmer, but not totally. Shmuel says like this: you put the hot water, noisen chutz lamaka. There, when you put it chutz lamaka, it's clear that you're not doing it for therapy. You're not putting it on the wound. but put it near the wound, and v'shoises v'yoyed lamaka. That's a great solution. And there, for sure, you won't have the mechze that you're doing it little for. This is like Kasha and Rav's leniency. It says in a Braisa, you can't put it on a gauze to put it on a makkah b'Shabbos. That means you can't put it directly on the makkah. That's why you can't put it on the moich. So the Gemara says, no, you can put hot water directly on the wound. The Braisa doesn't allow you to put hot water on a moich because you might violate schika. Gewaldig. Another attempted kasha and Rav. Tashema, ein noisen chal v'shem agab ha'moich, shal agab ha'makah b'Shabbos. So again, hachinami b'shum schita. And finally, Tanya kavasa d'shmol, ein noisen chal v'shem agab ha'makah b'Shabbos, avol noisen chutz l'makah clearly, and v'shoises v'yoyed l'makah clearly as Shmuel says. However, we'll stop over here. God willing, to be continued. Okay, good. We got somewhere.
Shkoyach, Rabbi. Great shiur today. Wow.
Thank you. Rabbi, what was the verse you said about Gan Eden and Gehenim, the first, when we first started? I didn't hear Chassidim say that.
In other words, watch it. Gehenim sounds like we're cursing out the doctors. It sounds like we're saying that even the best doctors are going to hell. Chassidim say that how do you know whether a doctor is good or not if the doctor is going to go into hell to heal a patient? And that's a good doctor that go into Gehenim. Put yourself in danger for someone else. That's such a good word.
Mendel Marazov said by Verbringen once, he said in his dreams, Chassidim are coming to him and say, Nu genug, Mendel, come verbring mit uns. He said, what do you need me for? You have Reb Nissen, you have Reb Mendel, you have Avram Mayor. What do you need me for? He says, yeah, but they're in Gan Eden.
I go out. All right. Good. Guten Tag.